I want to talk about Spence because obviously in great form at the moment. Scored his first Premier League goal on the weekend against Ipswich, which we saw how much it meant to him. And he was I think he tweeted out after the game, it's a dream come true playing in the Premier League and scoring a goal. It's the stuff of dreams. But it was an interesting conversation on his pre-match press conference. Ange talking about Jed Spence, talking about why it took him so long potentially to get into the side, and he was saying how they kind of made things a bit difficult for him at the start because they wanted to see how much he really wanted it and how much maybe his attitude. I mean, he didn't say it so much, but in those terms. But he was saying how I guess there was question marks about Jed, it's fair to say, at the beginning of the season. And despite him coming into pre-season playing well, he had to really prove that he really wanted this, and he wanted to give him an opportunity, but he wanted to kind of test him a bit to see if it was this was just an uptick in kind of a pre-season, and he's going to revert back to type, or has he truly changed, I guess, was the test. Obviously, he was getting minutes here and there and 45 minutes here and there, but didn't start his first game, I think, till Southampton. And he said he held him off starting games until that point. What do you think about that, Josh? Do you think, first of all, he's saying the truth, or do you think he's saying that to cover himself because he didn't start him until December, sorry? But if he is telling the truth, was that the right thing to do, considering that we definitely could have played him earlier on, or the fact that we look at Jed now and how he's one of the top probably fullbacks on form in the Premier League? Does he get credit for getting that kind of level out of him? How do you see it?
I can already tell where how you're trying to spin it by that last comment. I hope he's lying. I really do hope he's lying, because if he honestly was keeping back a fully fit, brilliant fullback that has contributed, multiple times before this situation where we didn't have Udogie. So he contributed in the Prem, and he contributed against Coventry, and he was good when he played those games as well. So if he's held that back because he wanted to test Jed Spence's commitment, then he's part of the reason our injuries are so bad. Do you know what I mean? Because you're holding back fit players and playing other players, giving them risk to get injury because of some nonsense notion that you're trying to test to see if Jed is committed. So I think he's lying. I think he's chatting rubbish, to be honest. Because I don't think he's that stupid. I'm hoping he's not that stupid anyway, because then we've got bigger problems. So yeah, that's my overall. I don't think you can give the credit to. Look, to be fair, some credit has to be given to Ange, that he's thriving. He's giving him a position where he's thriving, and he's obviously giving him tactical direction on what he wants him to do. That is making it good for Spence. But overall, I think this player has just been waiting. He just needed a run of games. Like, I think he was highly rated before he came to us. He was doing really well when he was on loan for most of the time. Like, a lot of teams were saying that a lot of the fans of Genoa and stuff were saying he was great, apparently, weren't they? And then he did well for us in pre-season and on his cameos. Obviously, once he gets a run of 5+ games playing with better players like he has with us, his stats are going to go up and he's going to look even better. But he's always been good, I feel like. And he's always been committed because he's was willing to play the bit part role. Come on for us in the cups and come. This whole notion of Jed's got a bad attitude, like, I honestly think it's absolute rubbish. I don't like that narrative at all. Yeah, he when he was younger, which we're talking about 3-4 years ago now, the Neil Warnock thing, isn't it?
No, because at Leeds last season as well, he was there, and the Leeds manager also complained about his attitude and timekeeping and all different things. Yeah, he did, publicly.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. We'll see then, I suppose. But either way, we didn't hear those, complaints here. And every time he got on the pitch, even when he wasn't playing very often, he played really well. So I think, proof's in the pudding. He did enough on the pitch to be given the chance that he's now been given, but it's more been Ange's hand has been forced. I mean, Ange wanted him out of the club in the summer for 8 million. Like, let's be real about this. I don't think you can give Ange any credit here.
Well, I mean, if he really wanted him out of the club, could have treated him like Reguilon? You know what I mean? And he hasn't. Reguilon didn't get a look in pre-season. I don't think.
Reguilon had 1 year left on his contract, though. I do think it's a bit different, slightly different. You can't really do that with a player that has 3 years plus on his contract.
You got to remember as well.
They gave him a new deal.
Gave him a new contract this season, even before he broke into the team.
Yeah, but that was. So what happened there? I think people forget this. He played really well. He started one game, didn't he? I can't remember what game it was.
I don't think he started until Southampton. That was his first start. But he came off the bench against United, Old Trafford.
That was
it. Came off the bench against Coventry.
City, Everton, and as well.
City, wasn't it? Was it City?
Oh, City. He got a fair run as well. Yeah.
No, he got one minute at the end against City.
Oh, so look, this is
maybe the cup game. I'm not sure.
No, I'm talking about the cup game. I think.
Oh, okay.
There was one game where he played really well, then got injured, and we gave him a contract. Yeah,
must be in United, maybe.
He started against United at left back. He started all the Carabao Cup games apart from City. And then
I'm talking about the one at Old Trafford when we won 3-0. He came on at half time.
He came on at half time, yeah.
Early in the season, he played really well in one game. I can't remember what game it was. And then we were like, oh, no, he's injured. And then we gave him a contract. I remember that. But anyway, so, yeah, fair enough. He was given a contract. I think by then that was more protecting his value, though, wasn't it? Like, maybe, I don't know. Because we realised, he's going to be here for another year now because the window's shut, so we need to give him a contract. Do you know what I mean?
But the reality is that with the way that he's handled Spence, we've put other players in jeopardy this season. There was no reason whatsoever to leave him out the European squad with our lack of depth at fullback this season. There was no reason whatsoever. You're looking at Porro, the amount of minutes he's played. Destiny kept having to come on in these Europa League games when we decided to finally give him a rest. Jed Spence could have had so many more minutes and we could have seen him flourish a lot earlier in the season than we did. And the minutes that he was getting, he was performing well. So I think Ange has played this hand badly. And, he's getting credit now for Spence and the emergence, which is fair enough. But I think he's handled this situation poorly.
No, the point is he's not getting credit.
From you, he's getting credit.
Yeah, no, I'm saying, my question is, does he deserve credit? Because he's getting a lot of criticism, is my point.
I think he deserves the criticism.
No, I get that, but my point is, with the level that Jed's at now, right, and who's the only manager who's kind of got this level out of him?
Yeah, that's
is it
fair
not fair
enough.
to say it's Ange?
That's fair enough, and yeah, look, I agree that Ange deserves credit on that aspect, but we could have seen it a lot earlier in the season than we did. There was no reason to keep him out in the cold for so long. Because we saw snippets from him, we saw games from him performing at a really good level. So I think if we would have played him earlier on a more consistent basis, we would have seen this earlier in the season.
But what if there were genuine question marks around the club about his commitment and these kind of things?
I mean, all we know from Ange is that he kept coming out consistently and saying there's no problem with it. Jed, his attitude is spot on. He's doing everything that he needs to be doing right now. So if you want to believe Ange at face value for everything else, you've got to believe that.
Yeah, but I mean, I think he obviously came back. He came back from Genoa after a decent loan spell, and came into pre-season, but there were still question marks with some attitude problems from a number of different managers beforehand on other loan spells and even at Tottenham as well. So I don't. Is there not a case to say that even at the beginning of the season they wanted to give him a shot, but they wanted him to kind of earn it as opposed to just handing it to him, make it easy for him in a way, because otherwise he could have, if he kind of makes them look stupid, then that could backfire.
If he was off the back of that Leeds loan, straight coming into the Tottenham team like that, I could understand it a bit more. If we had more cover at fullbacks and we weren't overplaying our players and playing them into injuries, I can understand a bit more. But in this current state, on the back of that Genoa loan, which everyone said his head was screwed on and he done well, and on the back of that pre-season when he was one of our best players in pre-season, I think there was no reason for it.
Agreed. Yeah.
No, I hear that, and I think I'm also agree that we could have used him earlier, and I think that look, I think at the beginning of the season, we were on this channel criticising Ange. We were on this channel criticising Ange for not including Jed in the Europa League squad and picking Fraser
I've just
Forster.
realised as well, very quickly, I've just realised it was after the Europa League squad came out that we then gave him a contract, wasn't it? As if to say sorry.
Yeah, I think you're right. You're right.
So that's what
When
it was.
was
It wasn't
it?
about him playing really well. It was about us about us going, he's not in the Europa League squad, and then we gave him a contract. So yeah.
We gave him a contract, it says here, on the 16th of October.
16th of October.
That's when it says we gave it to him. So that was when was October? So he was actually injured at the time, yeah.
That was not long after his last performance before then was the 45 minutes against Man United, I think.
Right.
And then he was on the bench, and then he was injured.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know what conclusions you can take from that, but I think I was very critical of him leaving Jed Spence out of the Europa League squad for sure at the beginning. I was trying to kind of make sense of, maybe he felt like Austin wasn't ready, and he needed Forster in that squad just in case Vicara got injured. But when Austin's played, that's turned out to be fine. So I don't think we needed to put Forster in. The fact that he's left Forster out and put Spence in, I think is probably a bit of an admission that he probably did make that mistake earlier in the season, to be honest, and that he's and also I agree, we definitely could have used him, but I'm obviously not there behind closed doors, right? I'm not there. Kind of knowing the ins and outs, and if there were things that he did need to prove, because look, I've heard different things that he said certain things to Ange, and there were certain problems there in terms of some of his attitude and some of these different things, and maybe there was a case that Ange had to deal with. He felt, well, not saying he had to, but maybe he did feel like he had to deal with it in that way to kind of get to really test his character and get this level that we're seeing out of him in that sense. So maybe there's a case there. Obviously, I don't know for sure, but Ange is kind of suggesting that. And also, as well, I think you look at where Spence is now and the level he's playing at now and how well he's playing, and he's so full of confidence. He's integrated to the team. You got to remember as well, during the even beforehand, when Ange was having that little tiff in the crowd, I think it was Bournemouth away. I think Jed was one of the first players to come over and kind of tell the fans to stop, and he was like trying to support Ange, even though I don't think he was playing at that time. So they seem to have clearly built some sort of relationship there, and he's now flying. So I think that's obviously really positive, and that's going to really benefit us long term. So maybe as a case of you put him through this test for a few months in the view of him long term really being this kind of player we can use for a long time at this level. But I guess I completely agree. As a fan who only sees it on the face of things, where we saw him playing well in pre-season, we saw him playing well when he came off the bench, and we saw that we could have used him when Udogie could have done with a rest. I completely get that criticism as well. And I think it's valid criticism from what we've seen. So I think I can kind of see it on both sides. But I think the fact that Udogie ended up getting injured, and the fact that he's come in straight away, Spence, and has completely started flying. I think you've got to say that, and the fact as well that he's ended up taking Forster out, putting Spence in because Austin's done well when he's not been picked. I think it suggests that he probably he definitely made a mistake by not at least putting him in that Europa League squad when we could have done with him.
Exactly.
You know what? Funny kind of. It's about Spence, but unrelated to that exact topic. Is have you noticed that he's right-footed, but he's better on the left? I feel like
he definitely was on Saturday. I agree with that.
I think he's been growing in that position. I don't think he was better on the left when he first broke in.
No, because you got to remember, against Southampton, he started on the right. He was flying, and then he only lasted 20 minutes because I think Udogie got injured, so he had to move over to the left.
Yeah.
And then I think it's just a case of he played so much on the left. He has to get back to getting used to playing on the right when he's there. But I agree, on Saturday he was much better on the left when he moved there. But also, do you not think that there could be a case of the fact that because him playing on the left kind of forced him to invert a bit? Like maybe that could be a reason why it kind of suits him a bit.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. I think it's just the angles and all that, like the angles that his body takes up when he's passing on the left. He's just got used to. He's really good at outside of the boot, little toe poke passes and stuff like that. So like, yeah, I think it works. Also, he dribbles better on the left, probably because the opposite team is not used to facing an inverted fullback dribbler. I don't know.
Yeah, because I think he's better dribbling inside. I think in those
Yeah,
spaces,
exactly.
yeah, as
I
opposed
don't
on the
know if that's
outside.
true though, because we've seen him dribble so well on the right. I just think the sample size is so much bigger on the left than it is on the right. We don't have too much to go on.
Yeah, I think on the right he's better when he goes on the outside. On the left he's better when he goes on the inside. I feel like when he's on the left and he goes on the outside, he struggles a bit to really provide quality. But when he's on the inside, I think he like looks at these little passes. He actually gets into the box a bit. I think obviously on the right we haven't seen that much of him. I think Ben's correct there, but I think we've seen him get to the byline and whip these crosses, balls across the face of goal and stuff like that. So.
What a brilliant
it's so
asset to
versatile.
have, though, no? What a brilliant asset to have in Jed Spence, who can play both right, left. Which brings up the question: what do we? I mean, someone brought it up to us a couple of days ago, but what do we go for in the summer? Do we go for a right back? Do we go for a left back? What do we need to go for?
What do we go for on Wednesday, let alone the summer? Because the doggy looked quite good as well. I thought the doggy looked good. But obviously he's coming back from injury. Does he go with Porro and Spence again?
I think Porro and Spence.
Yeah, I'd go Porro and Spence, I think.
Yeah,
although Spence is starting to really notch up the minutes, you know. Maybe he could do with coming on instead late in the game and just go with Udogie and Porro. And then in the summer, I think he's so good on the left that if we've got no Europe, you could probably get away with just 3 fullbacks anyway, to be honest. And then someone else as an emergency, Archie Gray. But if we do get Europe, then I think you could maybe look for either a left or a right back, see the best one you could get at the cheapest price, and just get whatever, because Spence can play both. So good, like you said, Ben. It's like that's amazing to have a player that can honestly play both to a high level.